Thank you for joining us this evening. Regular scheduled council meeting of the Park City City Council on Tuesday, August 10th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Marlo, would you call the roll?
John Lynn here.
Here.
George Glover.
Here.
Ben Salcetta.
Here.
Melvin Kerr.
Here.
Tom Jones.
Here.
George Capps.
Here.
Brandy Bailey.
Here.
Jim Schrader.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight, Pastor Tom Penny is going to lead in that invocation, and Melvin's going to lead in the pledge. If everybody please stand.
Let's pray. My Lord and my God, I thank you for those here who have agreed to serve their community and you. Lord, I ask that you bless this meeting with efficiency and with productivity. I ask that the things that are decided can be an aid and a benefit to our community. My Lord and my God, I ask that you give our community joy so that we can be content. I ask that you give us peace so that we can worry less. I ask that you give us productivity so that we can be generous to others.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. George?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
And Jim? Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 8-0. Tonight, Dana has some exciting news. Dana, come on down. Let's hear it.
I absolutely do. Thank you, Mayor and Council. It is always a pleasure to be able to stand in front of you and introduce a new member of our team. This evening, it is going to be the position that completes our Code Enforcement Department. And that is a very important department as we want to make sure that the city looks good and is inviting to people. And we have someone that has an extremely inviting personality and terrific references, comes to us with experience in code enforcement, and his references have talked about how great he has done that and accomplished educating the public, getting compliance on issues, and making sure that the community is in a good standing. So it is my pleasure this evening to introduce Lawrence Armstrong.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. I'm coming from California. Original place I served as code enforcement officer was the city of Rio Grande. I was in that position for 5 years. Originally born and raised east side San Jose, very diverse, very mixed community. And before heading out here, I lived in San Luis Obispo County. And as you guys all know, California is kind of expensive, so that's pretty much what steered me to come to this location. But I'm glad to be able to work with you guys and hope to be able to work a lot more with you guys in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Welcome.
All right. That was the best news that we had for awards and presentations. So we're going to move on to public forum. Mark Taylor.
I know a lot of y'all probably don't know me. I'm a part-timer in Park City, Kansas, but I'd like to introduce myself. So greetings to everybody. So for y'all that don't know me, I'm the site manager for the Amazon facility up here at ICT up on 7130 North Broadway. I would like to take this time to thank each and every one of you all for allowing us to come to your all's town to build the facility that we built in a short time. But I'm not much of a speech maker, so I made a few notes today. But I've done introduce myself, and as you're all aware, that the project began a little less than a year ago, and we've been progressing ever since. We've had some challenges and stuff, but I think that we've come pretty far in a short time. But on a second note, you know, I travel for a living and I work all over the country, and I have to say that the local codes enforcement people that I have dealt with here in Park City are top notch. They have been there 24 hours a day for us, early morning concrete pours, weekends to do the inspections that we've needed to be able to build a facility like this in a short time. So I would like to thank, Mr. Walker and his staff for being there for us. I mean, it helped us build this amazing facility up the street. But on another note, we've got to work with a lot of local contractors. Gray, we travel all over the country, but we've got contractors like Barron Concrete here from Wichita, Andale, McCullough Excavating, who did our storm utilities, Wichita Rockers, Atlas Electric and stuff. It's been a phenomenal bunch of people to work with that have came from right here, rural, from this community and surrounding municipalities. So I just wanted to reach out and say thanks to everybody for putting up with us for the short time that we've been here, and hopefully one of these days we'll get to come back and do something else for you all. So
Absolutely.
thank you all. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
I think I've been long enough I can do this. I've never done this before.
I know, Bob, you're always such,
I am paying attention to you, huh?
I know Mark. He's one of the most brilliant superintendents I have ever met. And guys, I've been around a long time, and I've met a lot of good guys. He's a good man to work with. He is a good team guy. And our communication was out of this world. If I needed an additional set of plans, I'll get them to you. Usually they were airmen or brought into me through FedEx or whatever the next day. It's such a large project, it's just hard to, there were some things that got missed. He said, what do you need? I said, I need this, Mark. And it came to me. This is a great company to work with. We've got a lot of great companies in this area. And man, I sure like to see him come back. Where are you going next?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln, Nebraska. I'd like to go up there and get a job, especially. How many hours was out there at this small 1 million square foot building?
Well, this, without the material handling, we were pushing 450,000 man hours. And that's without the material handling, then that's subs that Amazon brought in to install their racking and stuff. So you're, with everything, by the time it's up, said and done, you're probably looking at 1 million plus man hours put into the facility in 11 months. And I will have to say that Gray is real strict on safety. And we've only, at that facility with that amount of man hours, we had 2 incidents. One was a lost time incident, and the other one was just was a minor first aid. Of course, we had an individual that received a prescription because he mashed his finger, and when a person is prescribed a prescription, it becomes a recordable incident. So, we've been real blessed with people, and, you just don't build buildings like that. And
9 months?
Well, from the time that we actually started pouring concrete and stuff, yeah, it would have been 9 months, but we started moving dirt. I think we finally got the release of the property from Amazon on September 1, which was Labor Day weekend last year, is when we started grubbing and cleaning and stuff. So
Okay.
a lot has went into the facility. I know that, some of y'all might even know where it's at, but it's been a pleasure calling Park City home for nearly the last year. But my time's done, and I got to go on to the next one. But we appreciate your all's hospitality. It's a beautiful city.
awesome.
It's a nice place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we got the occupancy permit issued, right?
Yes, we got that this morning.
Yep, so we are there.
And
Thank-
sir, he doesn't get to take Bob.
Bob's with us. Thank you, Bob. All right. Next, Sherry Busenitz.
I was told I have 28 seconds, but I might talk a little bit longer than that. We met last night as a community relations board, and I just wanted to give you guys an update of what we're working on this fall, event-wise, and then what we're planning for the future, because obviously there's still some kinks that we're trying to work out, and so we're gonna hopefully have a plan to make things better in the future. But the first thing I wanna share with you is that the back to school celebration in the park is going to be canceled. We did not have enough registrations for the craft fair, so that portion of the event was not going to happen, and everything that was planned to be booked never came through. So it was an easy call last night to vote to cancel that event. It wouldn't have been quality for the city, so it's not worth running. But now we're putting all of our efforts into our 40th anniversary celebration, which was moved to Saturday, September 18, which is coming up very quickly. Brandon Green has been helpful with helping us plan some things for public safety, but we're going to close Hydraulic from 61st to Broadbeck because we're planning a block party so people can be in the streets there. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have live music. We're going to have a beer garden. That's going to be on Larry Cook's property, and we're going to have inflatables too for kids. So it's going to be a family-friendly event. It's going to run from 5 to 10. Music is from 6 to 9, so the live music is from 6 to 9. So that's the plan for the 40th anniversary celebration, and we're already working with the city on making sure that we can advertise this event for people. So put that on your schedules. It's going to be pretty fun. I heard last night too that we're doing an 80s theme because of our. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, thank you. And we're planning a fireworks show. It's going to be a small one. It's going to be about 3 to 5 minutes long, but Cody Hanna with Victory Pyrotechnics, who did our 4th of July event, came last night, and he's willing to do a small show for us on the 18th. So mark that on your calendars. We are also working on Fall Fest, which is October 23, so it's the weekend before Halloween. That's going to be very similar to how it's been run in years past. And then we are working on our first ever Christmas lighting ceremony, which is the first Saturday in December. So keep those events open on your calendars. If any of you are interested in volunteering or getting involved in these events, just let me know and we can easily put you to work. That's not a problem. So some things we're trying to improve as a board is we want to prepare quarterly updates for you as a council so that you don't have to wonder what's happening. So hopefully we'll just get on your schedule and someone from our council will be here at your meetings to just share what's happening. That's a goal that we're going to be working on this fall. The other thing that we really want to work on, and I think it's going to help a lot with all of the event planning for the city, is creating a full publicity plan for every event so that the city is well aware of what we're planning 12 months out. And then we'll have a plan of when it's going to hit social media, when it would hit newspapers, when it needs to hit boards, how many volunteers we need, and budget issues. So that's our upcoming plan. Oh, and I do need to mention with the 40th anniversary celebration, this was not included in our 2021 annual budget because we were planning on doing the event in 2020. And so when we turned in the 2021 budget, it got lost. But we were under budget with our 4th of July celebration, and we had some business sponsors come in the last few months. So at this point, we're not expecting to go over budget for the annual calendar and still putting on this event, which will cost about $7,000. So if you have any questions, I will take those.
George?
Well, I'm curious, you said Hydraulic to where are you going to shut down?
Oh, did I ever say to Broadbeck? It's the road to the north, on the north side of Ace Hardware. It's like an alley. Mm-hmm. So it's like one block.
Okay, then you're shutting down the alley.
Yeah. So we'll have trucks and barricades, and then people can park and walk through that area to get
I
food
never
in.
knew that was called Broadbeck.
It's not on all of the maps, by the way.
I learned something tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? George?
Yes, Chair, I just appreciate all the things that you guys do. I mean, I've seen a big uptake in the number of events, but also the number of volunteers that have come to the Community Relations Board. So I just appreciate that, the way that you're on top of things along with your board. So I want you to know that you're greatly appreciated.
Thank you, George.
All right. That looks like everybody.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. John? Do you have anything for staff reports for us?
Yes, sir. First of all, in front of you is a copy of our RFQ, or request for qualification, for the downtown development. Over the past couple months, staff has created this document and then submitted it to Confluence to get their thoughts and recommendations, as well as one local developer to see how it would be received from their perspective. Our intentions are to supplement this RFQ with a copy of the downtown master plan and then advertise it on August 24th. In September, there would be a pre-submittal conference to answer any questions that the developers might come up, and then issue an addendum if needed. The deadline for the submission is slated currently in the RFQ as of for November 19th, followed by interviews if needed. The hope is to recommend a development team to the council in mid-December to start work on the downtown district. Other good news to report is at our last meeting, council was introduced to our two new police officer hires. They were originally scheduled to go to KLETC starting in September, which would have had them completing in January time period. But due to some last minute cancellations at KLETC, they called us 2 days ago and said, can they be here tomorrow? Both of them started this morning, and so now they will be complete with KLETC in November rather than January, so that's good news. Finally, just some quick tidbits of going around on the town. Staff participated in the Chamber Business Expo this past weekend. Honestly, the attendance wasn't the highest, but that's to be expected because this was their first one. I do think that it was good for us because we were able to interact with our businesses as well as generate and update our advertising banners and material for future use. Other news, we received our Standards & Poor rating letter today. Overall, it was an excellent and favorable report, with Park City retaining its AA- rating. Last week, we received KDHE approval for our 53rd Street lift station set of plans, so a construction contract should be coming to council pretty soon. 77th Street roundabout is still either on or slightly ahead of schedule and planned to be completed in October. Quick Shop certificate of occupancy was issued 2 weeks ago, and they plan on opening by the end of this month. And then, as you heard earlier, Amazon's certificate of occupancy was issued this morning. So, and that's all I have, sir.
Okay, Ben?
Yeah, real quick, the intersection of 69th and Broadway that was closed there, has that reopened now?
It was open last Friday.
Okay, thank
sir.
you. And then thank you all you and Dana for participating this weekend at the Chamber. It was a good event, and thank you to the Chamber for putting this together. I look forward to seeing what they do next year with it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tom?
I'd like to say that Sean made a presentation today to WAMPO, and he did an outstanding job, and presentation was good. So.
All right. We don't have anybody else, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion? John?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
And Ben?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And that motion passes 8-0. That brings us to new business, item 5, which is a public hearing to consider the approval of resolution leveling assessments for delinquent recycling and trash fees. We'll open this public hearing at 7:18. And Marlo, I'll let you go.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. On July 27, 2021, Council approved documents initiating the special assessment process for delinquent recycling and trash fees. Council also established August 10, 2021 at 7 p.m. as the public hearing date and time to hear any objections or protests to the assessments. Letters providing notice of the public hearing were mailed to property owners on July 29, 2021, and they were given until August 10, 2021 to pay the delinquent amount to avoid assessment to the properties. To date, we had one property owner come in and pay his bill, so that left 3 people on the list. We're just, staff recommends approving the resolution.
Okay, I'll ask if anybody from the public wishes to speak on this. Not seeing any. Is there any questions from the council? Ben?
I have no questions, so I'd go ahead and make a motion here to approve Resolution 1083-2021, a resolution approving the report from the city clerk identifying delinquent trash collection and recycling fees to be certified to the county clerk as assessments against the related real estate, all as provided for in Section 15-606 of the City Code and KSA 65-3410.
All right, I'll go ahead and close this public hearing at 7:20. And then Ben made a motion, and Jim?
I second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 8-0. That brings us to item 6, which is a public hearing to consider the approval of resolution levying assessments for delinquent stormwater fees. Now, I'll open this public hearing at 7:20, and Marlo, I'll let you go again.
On July 27, 2021, council approved documents initiating the special assessment process for delinquent stormwater fees. Council also established August 10, 2021 at 7 p.m. as the public hearing date and time to hear any objections or protests to the assessments. Letters providing notice to the public hearing were mailed to property owners on July 29th, and they were given until August 10th, 2021 to pay delinquent amounts to avoid assessment to the property. Again, we just had one property owner come in. Staff is recommending approval of the resolution.
Okay, George?
I move to approve Resolution 1084-2021, a resolution approving the report from the city clerk identifying delinquent stormwater fees to be certified to the county clerk as assessments against a related real property, all as provided in Charter Ordinance number 37-2015.
Somebody want a second real quick for discussion? John?
Second.
Okay. I'll ask if anybody from the public wishes to speak on this. Not seeing anyone, I'll close this public hearing at 7:22. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 8-0. That brings us to item 7, which is discuss and consider awarding a contract and commitment of city funds for the 61st Street project. Sean?
Yes, sir. On July 21st, KDOT held a bid opening for the 61st Street project, 087N-0691-01, and received a total of 4 bids. The first one was from Conspect Inc., doing business as Kansas Paving, the second one from Pearson Construction, the third from Cornhejo and Sons, and then the fourth from APAC Kansas Inc., Shears Division. KDOT considers the bid satisfactory when compared to the engineer's estimate of $4.105 million and recommends awarding the contract to the low bidder, which would be Conspect Inc., doing business as Kansas Paving. Upon receipt, the Secretary of Transportation will award the contract. The city's matching fund for this project is $839,000 and is payable to KDOT before September 9th. It is a budgeted project. Staff recommends approval. Conspect bid was $3,596,939.
Okay. Jim?
It's great to see the project moving ahead. I would move to approve and authorize the mayor to sign an award contract to Kansas Paving in the amount of $3,601,451 for the 61st Street project to be paid out of the Capital Projects Fund.
Okay. Ben?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 8-0. That brings us to item 8, which is consider amendment to section 10-103 of the municipal code relating to the authority of the police chief to make rules and regulations for the operations of the police department. Doug?
Mayor and council, section 10-103 is really, you have it in front of you. It's a pretty short and sweet and simple ordinance. It does what it says. It empowers the chief to make rules and regulations necessary for the proper and efficient conduct of the police department. The chief has requested some additional language be added to this. There's a current need for the department to utilize code enforcement officers to perform what are more commonly law enforcement or police duties. Those 3 duties are primarily issuance of parking citations, and that's, you may have recalled that some of the parking regulations that we've adopted recently have caused a need to address that more directly at certain times of the day, and this makes that much more efficient for the department. Secondly, directing traffic. There are times when that's appropriate for events and certain times when officers are otherwise engaged in usual law enforcement duties when code enforcement would be able to help with that. And finally, to order the impoundment of vehicles. Currently, our code enforcement officers have the ability to impound vehicles in connection with nuisances when they're located on private property in violation of our nuisance code. But when they're moved to the street, right now, they don't have that authority. So what this amendment does is to specifically call out the power of the chief to issue rules and regulations, which would include the authority to designate code enforcement officers to issue citations for parking violations, direct traffic, and impound vehicles located on the city streets. There also is a final sentence in that is really outdated, never has been implemented, and so that has been struck, and that's that such rules and regulations shall be approved by the governing body.
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Doug on this?
I have one.
Yeah.
Being a former police officer, I understand directing traffic at certain times can be dangerous as all get out. Are they going to get some special training in this?
I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that, George.
I would like to get an answer, because I've directed traffic, and I can tell you, I've about been hit several times. And I'd like to see them, if we're going to be put in that situation, that they get trained to do it.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. John?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1127-2021, an ordinance amending section 10-103 of the municipal budget, or municipal code of the city of Park City, Kansas, relating to the authority of the police chief to make rules and regulations related to operations of the police department, and repealing the original of said section 10-103.
Okay. Ben?
Second for discussion, just
Yeah.
real quick, and I would, just in seconding, I would just echo what George said there, is that hopefully we get some feedback, we can get some feedback here, maybe next meeting or so, clarification as to what type of training, if any, that they will have.
If council would like, they could go ahead and amend the motion saying that power is contingent upon receiving proper training.
I don't know what type of training goes into something like that, so I don't know if I'd want to ask the chief to send him to something specific, but.
I personally just think it's more of an administrative thing that we need to just make sure that they get the adequate training.
Yes, sir.
And everybody's comfortable doing the job. But I do agree.
Okay.
I'd leave the motion as is, though.
Okay. All right. George?
Well, I just going to say something. Knowing our chief of police, I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I spoke out of turn, but I've known our chief for 35 years, I guess, and I know how he is. He's professional, and I'm sure he's not going to put people out there without training them. So I would sorry I even spoke on that, because I know he will do it.
No, sir, I appreciate it. It's noted. We'll make certain that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. Marla, would you call the roll?
John Lanier.
Aye.
George Glover.
Aye.
Ben Sosetta.
Aye.
Melvin Kerr.
Aye.
Tom Jones.
Aye.
George Capps.
Aye.
Brandy Bailey.
Aye.
Jim Schroeder.
Aye.
All right. And that ordinance passes 8-0. Thank you, Doug. That brings us to item 9, which is consider approval of the 2022 land bank budget. D?
Good evening. Kansas statutes require that the governing body review and approve the land bank budget before adoption by the Land Bank Board of Trustees. The notice of budget hearing for the land bank was published in the Ark Valley News on August 5th. The total expenditure amount published was $124,164, as reflected on the notice that we discussed in the July 27th budget work session. The notice was also in tonight's council packet.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Dee on the budget? No questions? Jim?
I don't have any questions, so I would move to approve the 2022 Park City, Kansas Land Bank budget in the amount of $124,164.
All right, Tom?
I was going to second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 8-0. I'd ask for a motion for a 3-minute recess. Ben?
I'd make a motion to recess for 3 minutes.
And Jim?
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Not seeing any discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes 8-0. All right, we're reconvening from our recess, and that we don't have any more items on our agenda, so we'll move to governing body reports, and we'll start with Jim.
I don't have anything to report tonight.
Brandy?
I don't have anything.
George?
Well, I got a couple of things I want to say. Number one is, you know, we're coming up with another round of COVID, and I think we need to strive to make sure that we don't shut this government down again. And I would encourage anyone who hasn't gotten vaccinated to get vaccinated. You know, I'm 80 years old. I got vaccinated. I never had any reactions to it. I don't know of anyone who's got it, who's had reactions to it, except maybe a mild fever or something. And, you know, I talked to a doctor today, and he said the people that he's had that have tested positive for COVID, and he's had 3 of them, as he said, they've been vaccinated and their symptoms were very mild, just mild muscle aches and stuff. Nothing serious, nothing that required any extra medication or hospitalization. So I would encourage everyone to do that, because we could be headed down another disastrous road, and I don't think we can afford it. I really don't. And I would encourage people to get out there and get their shots. That's all I have.
Tom?
I agree with George. I don't have anything else.
Melvin?
I don't have anything.
Ben?
Yeah, I do want to, on the 21st, that's a week and a half away there, I'll have my monthly Convos event. That's Saturday, August 21st. I'd love to have you out 9 o'clock there for that. And then just to somewhat reiterate what George said, is just making sure each one of us are doing our parts to not spread anything to others. It's kind of weird that we're, grown adults telling people not to spread germs, but that's where we're at right now. We can't afford where we're at right now, the pace that we're at in spending as a country and such like that already. And so a government shutdown of businesses and such would be completely devastating to our local economy, as it's already been pretty hard on our national economy. So do your part to make wise decisions.
George?
Yeah, I also wanted to welcome our new code enforcement again tonight. Welcome to Park City. Also, the students that are going back to school, I would just ask that you be safe. That's all I have.
Okay, John?
I don't have anything, so I would make a motion to adjourn.
And Ben?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Oh, wait, Melvin, did you have a comment? Oh, I thought you were trying to hold us up.
No.
All right.
No.
We got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 8-0.
You still second?